Hello, this is Mrs. Poland for Algebra 2, Lesson 8.05. In this video, I'm going to go over example number 7. So this is another type of Regents question that you'll often see. And so they ask on the same set of axes provided, graph one cycle, so you only have to graph one cycle, of a cosine curve with an amplitude of 3, a period of pi over 2, a midline of y equals -1, and that function is going to pass through the point 0, 2. So what I normally do is I write the general equation first. Again, this time it's cosine. And I know that the amplitude of the graph is 3, so that's my A. It's cosine. I have to figure out the frequency, so I'll figure that out in the moment. In other words, the B. Make sure you put down the X for the angle. And the midline is -1, so that's our D. So to get our frequency, given the period, because we have our period as pi over 2, I use the formula 2 pi over period. So that's 2 pi over 2. And when you simplify that, it becomes 4. Okay. So what do I need to graph? I need the maximum value of the function, which is the amplitude plus d. So it's 3 plus a -1, which is 2. I need my minimum value, which is the negative of the amplitude plus the vertical shift, so that's -4. I also need the pattern for cosine, and pattern is max, mid, min, mid, max. So in this case, I'm going to graph the values, the y values, 2, -1, -4, -1, back to 2. And I have to figure out my x scale. So to figure out my x scale, and I'll use this maroon color, I need my period divided by 4, that sketch point. So my period divided by 4, my period in this case is pi over 2, and if I divide that by 4, that's the same thing as pi over 2 divided by 4, which is pi over 2 times the reciprocal of 4. When you multiply across, you get pi over 8. So my spacing is pi over 8. So what that means is the values that I'm going to graph on the x-axis, or how I'm labeling the x-axis, is 0, pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8, and 4 pi over 8. I only have to graph one cycle, so I don't have to keep on going. You do have to reduce these values. Now, some students get confused, like, do I have to start from the left side of the graph? You're only graphing one cycle. This was a Regents question, and this is the exact graph that they, a set of coordinate plane that they used. And you want to space it out, because although you can do like every box, it's going to be too hard to see. And so I would just continue and say like every 2 boxes is equivalent to 1 spacing of pi over 8. So you're starting off at the origin, so that's 0, and that's pi over 8. 2 pi over 8 reduces to pi over 4. 3 pi over 8, and 4 pi over 8 reduces to pi over 2. And then you're going to graph the midline, which is y equals -1. And although you can count like each on the for scaling the y-axis, yeah, you can count every box as 1. It gets like a little cluttered here. So the only reason I'm having every 2 boxes as 1 is to make it visually easier to read. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is -1, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4. So some of like how you space out your X and Y axes is like personal preference, but my recommendation is every 2 boxes on the X-axis, and for the Y scale, it depends how high you go up, and we certainly can fit every 2 boxes as one, and so that's why I would recommend it. Okay, next we want to graph our midline because that was the hard part of this. The rest is just like applying what you wrote down onto the graph. So we're going to graph the midline, and the midline was y equals -1. So, oh, I guess I stuck with purple, wasn't intending to. And you make sure to label. And now we're going to start graphing. And let me see. I guess I'll do pink. I think it's pink I'm on. Okay. So I am doing 2, -1, and then it's -4 and -1 and back to 2. And you're going to make a nice smooth curve. Oh, I missed. Hold on. Let me try that again. So nice and smooth, going through all the points. And here we go. I got it. And that's how you graph it. So what do they mean when they say the function passes through the point 0, 2? So they just want you to make sure, and I'll take out my highlighter, like that you actually have that point 0, 2 showing, which you do when you set it up like this. In any case, I hope that this video was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow.